Hello, my name is Jacob Stam and I'm from the Netherlands. And I do work in organizations where we look at organizations in a so-called systemic way. So it's a way of looking what is the organization as a whole, what is it as a system, what movements are there in the systems, and how can it be completed. And I want to say a few words about trauma in organizations. It seems that when there is an incisive event in an organization, for example a bankruptcy, or for example it was necessary to fire many people, or there has been an accident, but it can also be events from outside, for example war or an earthquake or whatsoever. Then it seems that it is possible that the memory of this event is stored for many years in the collective memory of this organization. And when years later sometimes a change is proposed, then suddenly it's possible that people or parts of the organization come into a so-called trauma reaction. For example, they are like paralyzed, or they act very strongly on the proposed changes, much stronger than you would have expected normally. When these trauma reactions are there, it's surprising how much actually a present director, even he was never there in the organization with the original traumatizing event, how much there still can be done. For example, what is useful is when the present owner, the present director, when he acknowledges the people who suffered from the event many years ago. And when he does that, it's possible that the present people and employees and parts of the organization somehow feel that they can reconnect again with their skills, they can have flow again, they be fully in their hearts, with their hearts in the company again, and they don't have to go into a so-called survival strategy. And usually these mechanisms like going in a survival strategy or a reactivation in a trauma, usually they go very unconsciously. So the teams, they usually are not aware of it. And it's useful for managers to start to recognize what are trauma reactions. Of course, it's much more interesting, how can you prevent trauma reactions when you propose a change in a company? One of the things that we know already is that more people are allowed to connect with their roots, and it can be their professional roots, but it can also be their cultural roots or their ethnical roots. The more they're allowed to be connected with the root, the less they suffer from trauma reactions after a strong change or an incisive event. Another thing is that people go into a trauma reaction or a survival strategy when they have no options. So the more you give people options in a change, the less they will suffer from traumatizing events. So I hope that only these few things can maybe open your heart and maybe open your ideas about looking at your organizations and being aware of this mechanism of potential trauma and what you can do about it in organizations.